Hey all, welcome to Extra Bite of History. This is our very first video, and I figured what better place to start than at the very beginning of MacDougal Street. So we're here at the corner of West 8th and MacDougal, which MacDougal does not go any further north of here. And right on the corner there of West 8th and MacDougal, we've got a little coffee shop. And this coffee shop was originally, back in the day, 8th Street Books, which was sort of a very cool, trendy place for a lot of people to hang out. Ginsberg, Dylan, Kerouac, Thomas, all the big heavy hitters would hang out there from time to time. It's rumored that Ginsberg and Bob Dylan met there. I'm not that old, so don't ask me. I've seen pictures of them over in the park, which we'll walk to in a second. But as far as this street goes, not a bad place to start with. And you got MacDougal, named after Alexander MacDougal, who was a Scotsman, famous founding father who was into the Sons of Liberty. Boston Tea Party had his hands in, became the first president of the Bank of New York after Hamilton was gone. So basically carried out Hamilton's sort of financial institution after his death. And what's interesting is about, that's not how you spell MacDougal. MacDougal originally actually had no A and two L's. But they corrupt the name, as it's called, finger quotes there, corruption of MacDougal, much like the corruption of Houston. And Norman Buckbinder, right over there underneath. Oftentimes streets in New York City are named with two names. And Norman there was a real estate guy. And he actually founded the first ever BID, or Business Improvement District, which if you've been in Times Square, you've been in Union Square, you've been here in the Village, you've seen people cleaning up, and they have like a Times Square kind of shirt on, or a Union Square shirt on. Those aren't city workers per se. I love New York City, never a quiet moment, but we're just gonna pound on through. And so business improvement districts are areas in the city that the local businesses throw some money in, and they basically help to keep the place clean, help to keep the place safe, etc. So not a bad thing. I'm sure there's pluses and minuses of it, but Norman Buckbinder there, he founded the first one decades and decades ago. Now there are dozens of them all throughout the city. And so yeah, this street got named after him. So we're walking down MacDougal now, and we do come to this little alleyway, which is appropriately named MacDougal Alley. And MacDougal Alley was originally the horse stables for the buildings on West 8th Street over there to the north. And then you have Washington Square North to the south here. Those fancy, well-to-do places on either side, these were their stables. And they have throughout the years now been used as a place for artists and painters. Most famously, perhaps, Jackson Pollock lived in one of these for a while back in the day. Now it's pretty much private access only. And so we make our way a little further south now here from MacDougal. And on the corner here, you've got the corner of Washington Square Park North, essentially, and MacDougal. There's a bunch of construction going on. All the scaffolding in New York City, it's a pastime. It's sort of what we do. We leave scaffolding up forever. But it looks like they are doing some building, some construction. And yeah, on the corner, it was, back in the day, Hotel Earl. It is currently right across the street from the park, as I mentioned. You've got the Washington Square Hotel, which you can kind of see behind the scaffolding over there. But it was a very, again, famous now because of the people who used to hang out there. But Ernest Hemingway stayed there before he went overseas during the war. You can see right there Washington Square Hotel back behind in the construction. You've also got Dylan Thomas, who a very famous guy from the Midwest, Robert Allen Zimmerman, took his last name from. Bob Dylan, Dylan Thomas. And Bob Dylan actually followed in Dylan Thomas's footsteps and stayed at that hotel for a while when he moved here at the age of 21, I think it was. And so that has gotten us all the way here to the park. And famously here at the entrance of the northwest corner, we got jackhammers going on either direction. We got trucks. We got crazy people. It's New York City, baby. But right over here, this is the Hangman's Elm. It is considered to be the oldest tree on Manhattan Island still. Called the Hangman's Elm because, in theory, they hung some people from it. Now it's interesting, in all the research I've done and research other tour guides I've heard have done, they haven't found any actual records of hanging from the tree. There were gallows in the park, but we'll get into that on the next video. This is all I wanted to cover, just a little added snippet of the very beginning of MacDougal Street. MacDougal from West State Street to Washington Square Park North. And as we look back on it, we can see the very top spire of the Empire State Building down in Midtown. It is a muggy, hot day here in New York City, and that's Ryan from Extra Bite. And I'll come back at you with something else shorter. And I've also got some bigger, more substantial videos, meat and potatoes videos planned, where we'll meet some pretty interesting people in food and agriculture and arts. And we'll keep this train a-going, okay? So until I see you out there on the tour, guys, see you later.